Okay, so cycle time includes any inactive time and any delays, which leads us into a discussion about something called flow efficiency. So flow efficiency is total elapsed time versus total active time. Or if you think of it a different way, what percent of your cycle time is dedicated to actively working on the item? And you're trying to think about active time versus delays. So remember that I said that cycle time is a great way for teams to start thinking about how they can improve? Yeah, this is one of those things, because multitasking equals delays. So if your cycle time is getting higher, or it's just simply not where you want to be, a lot of times the easiest thing to do is to start looking for places where your team is multitasking. Basically, where your work in progress is higher than you might want it to be. And let's think about multitasking versus task switching. Humans are actually miserable. They're terrible at multitasking. They can't actually work on two things at the same time. They can kind of do it, but really what they're doing is something that's more akin to task switching than multitasking. A computer with multiple processors or multiple cores can theoretically do multitasking. They can work on multiple problems simultaneously. The human brain doesn't quite work like a computer, and, well, they do task switching instead. So you work on one thing, do that for a little while, and then you work on another thing, and do that for a while. So there's a calculation for flow efficiency. And what you're going to do if you want to do that calculation is you look at your total cycle time, subtract the inactive time for that item or those items, and divide again by total cycle time. So total cycle time minus inactive time divided by total cycle time. And if we go back to that 1, 2, 3, or 4 item example we just did, well, we had the cycle time that was going up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Active time stayed the same because the work was pretty much the same, but the delay time was going up on each of those items. If you're doing one item at a time, the delay time is 0. If you're doing 2 items at a time, you're 50-50, so you have delay time of 1. 3 items, it's 2. It takes 2 extra days to get out. 4 items, you've got 3 extra days that are just sitting around for delay. So now our flow efficiency for one item is 1, or 100% flow efficiency. If it's 2, then it's 0.5 or 50% efficiency. 3 items is 33% or 0.333333. And 4 items is 0.25 or 25%. Yeah, so adding work in progress, adding more things that we're trying to work on at one time, is blowing up our cycle time and destroying our flow efficiency. And what we're doing is we're increasing our work in progress, the number of things we're trying to juggle at one time. That's our WIP. And as we increased our WIP count, we increased our cycle time. So if you want to improve, start trying to decrease your work in progress. Decrease the WIP count, and that is going to almost magically start to improve your cycle time. Now, back to that intro to the exercise, to that sample, I said, yeah, it's artificially simple. And one of the ways that it was artificially simple is that changing tasks was free. You could flip from task A, B, C, and D, and flip back and forth, and there was no penalty on that. In real life, swapping tasks, doing a context switch, is actually really expensive. So there's this guy, Gerald Weinberg. He wrote this barn burner of a book called Quality Software Management, Volume 1, System Thinking. And on page 284 of that book, he starts talking through a study that he did of software developers and how productive they were if they tried to do 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 tasks roughly simultaneously. So if they did one task at a time, they were 100% of that task. There wasn't any switching, so therefore they could dedicate all their time to that task. If they had 2 tasks, they'd spend 40% on task A, 40% on task B, and they'd have 20% waste. Suddenly, like 20% of their time would disappear. 3 simultaneous tasks, it was 20% on each of those and 40% waste. 4 simultaneous tasks, 10% on each, 60% waste. 5 simultaneous tasks, 5% on each, and 75% waste. So not only does just switching tasks cause problems with your work in progress and your cycle time, but there's a certain drag factor by just being human and trying to switch between those tasks. And going by Gerald Weinberg's data, he's saying that if you're doing 5 simultaneous tasks, you're wasting 75% of your week. So think about 75% of a 40-hour work week. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and half of Thursday just gone to switching tasks. So in the example that I was giving, your cycle time scaled, well, linearly, but it really probably isn't going to do that in real life. In reality, Most of your pieces of work are not the same size, and you can't just add more items and expect your cycle time to scale linearly. It's probably going to behave in an unpredictable way because each item has its own unpredictable amount of cycle time drag. Plus that Gerald Weinberg context switching tax, that just how hard is it for a human to switch between tasks, that's huge. So when you factor all that together, work in progress is really going to murder your productivity, blow up your cycle time, and it's going to really slow down your ability to get fast feedback. So if you want fast feedback, decrease your cycle time. And if you want to decrease your cycle time, the easiest way to do that is to decrease your work in progress.